Hey everyone, Sam here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am demoing the new Aclam Go Rocky Go pedal. This is the third installment in Aclam's Beatles series after the Dr. Robert and the Mocker fuzz pedals. And the Go Rocky Go is based off of the Vox Conqueror amp that the Beatles used on Magical Mystery Tour and the White Album. And of course it is named after George's psychedelic Fender Sonic Blue Stratocaster, Rocky. And the artwork on the pedal reflects, the paint job of Rocky, the actual guitar. So I wanted to thank Aclam for sending me this awesome pedal. It has my name on the serial number, so thank you for sending a prototype. It comes with really cool case candy like George pins, and even the box is pretty cool, I think. So the Vox Conqueror amp that it's based off of was an unusual amp in the 60s. It didn't have any tubes, or if you're in England, valves inside of it, so it was transistor based entirely, and it was an eccentric amp. It had distortion channels, bright channels, reverb and tremolo effect, and a mid-range boost function, which I'll get to in a second. So the Go Rocky Go is based off of a Conqueror amp, as I said. Aclam actually has a real Conqueror amp, so the pedal is based off of their real amp. And the Go Rocky Go has a bunch of different functions like the Conqueror. So you have your clean mode, and that's really cool to me. You can just click on the transistor inside of the pedal, which is very similar to the transistor in the amp, and it has treble and bass knobs and a volume knob. So you can just kind of set your clean amp tone. It has a distortion channel on it. So just like the amp, you click on the distortion foot switch, and it's an exact mimicry of their distortion on their Vox Conqueror amp. Then you have crunch mode. So if you hold down the right foot switch for about a second and a half, crunch mode turns on a blue LED, and it's actually something that wasn't in the original amp. It's just an extra feature that Aclam put in there so that you can get somewhere in between clean and distortion modes. So you get some shades in between there of gain. And then the last thing, which is really cool, if you hold both foot switches down, it turns on the mid-range boost toggles here in the middle. And this was on the original Vox Conqueror amp. Mid-range boost is essentially these three toggles. So if you imagine in your plugins and you have a graphic EQ and you create a little spike or hump in the graphic EQ at a certain frequency, like a very narrow one, that's essentially what each of these toggles are. You're selecting between different spikes in frequencies, and you hear this in Birthday at the end. On the last chord, the piano was mic'd and then plugged into a Vox Conqueror amp, and somebody was actually toggling the mid-range boost function, and that's the effect that you hear at the end of that song. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know if any pedal has actually ever included mid-range boost on it. So you have a lot of different shades of gain and EQ and effects on this pedal. So I'm going to be demoing the Go Rocky Go on my Sonic Blue Strat, of course. And then I'm going to be doing a shootout of the Dr. Robert, the Mocker, and the Rocky. The Go Rocky Go, I should say. Alright, my clean tone is going to be my Fender Sonic Blue Strat into my 1965 Fender Bassman in the normal channel. And this is what it sounds like clean. So on the right-hand side of Go Rocky Go, we have the clean tone of the Vox Conqueror amp. And we can adjust the tone with treble and bass knobs on the right-hand side. Nice. It kind of brightens up the amp a bit, which, a solid state amp definitely would do. It's got the transistor in there based on the Conqueror, so you're getting the tone of a Vox, solid state amp. It's really cool. So before I move on to the distortion mode, I'm going to click on crunch mode. You hold the right foot switch down for about half a second, turns blue, and this is somewhere in between the clean and distortion modes of the pedal. If you have a humbucker guitar, it's going to be a little crunchier than this, but it sounds great. It's kind of a unique, flavor that you don't get on the original amp. So I'm going back to our normal mode here, and now I'm going to click on the distortion mode on the left-hand side. It's going to light up yellow. That yellow LED is actually our volume control for the distortion channel. We have a drive knob. It's called attack and sustain, like on the original amp. The treble and bass knobs are still applicable here. Yeah, it sounds really great. I mean, you're getting that White Album crunch tone that you hear, especially on his Les Paul a lot, Savoy Truffle and Not Guilty and all of that was a Vox Conqueror amp. Hey Bulldog. So now I'm going to go into mid-range boost function. So I'm going to click both foot switches together, and it's going to sound like this. It's a very strange tone, and basically that middle toggle knob is applicable now, so I'm going to go through some of those settings. Mid-range boost is also available without distortion on. You can get this kind of tone with a wah-wah pedal. If you just kind of not use the pedal, you just stick it on kind of a random setting. It's like a cocked wah sound. It's also available here in crunch mode. You can even, you know, mess with the EQ knobs too, get some really weird sounds. Alright, so I've moved on to my Gibson SG Special because it's just a little different dirty tone, closer to the White Album perhaps. And let's start with the Dr. Robert. The Dr. Robert has normal drive mode on the right hand side. It has a mids control. That's the only EQ you're going to get. And then a gain knob. So let's hear what that right hand side sounds like. Let's hear what the left-hand distortion side sounds like. Great. Let's move on to the Mocker. Now let's go to the distortion mode of Rocky. Obviously we can tweak the EQ all we want to get them closer, but I think that gives a pretty good indication. Now I'm going to move on to the crunch mode of Rocky, and then we're going to compare that to the right-hand cleaner side, sort of clean, of the Dr. Robert. Go back to distortion mode, and I'll just turn the gain down a little bit, tweak the EQ. Well, got a little out of control there, and my light died for the GoPro camera. So I think that was about all I could really do to show the differences there. All of them are fantastic pedals. I would highly recommend any of them if you're a Beatles enthusiast, but also, you know, Led Zeppelin used some of those early Vox amps. I think the Dr. Robert does a great job getting a very specific 60s, kind of mid-60s, 66 tone. The Mocker is just a great all-around fuzz. I'm a real fuzz fan, and I collect a lot of fuzzes, and I will say that the Mocker holds up against any of them, especially with the tone control. It's just very usable. The Go Rocky Go, I really have fallen in love with it, even though I've only, you know, spent a day or two with it so far. I think it's just got that White Album sound. I think it's fantastic. I wanted to thank Aclam for sending me that pedal, and I'm definitely going to keep it. I think that the mid-range boost function is really special and just something to have fun with, maybe inspire you to get new tones on your record, or get that birthday piano sound. If you want to do it live, finally, you can actually do it. So thank you again, Aclam. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and if you want to follow me on Patreon as well, I have tabs on there and gear settings and all sorts of stuff, unreleased videos. So go check that out, and go check out Aclam. Thanks, guys.